Right, welcome everyone. Today we've got Tyron here from Tyron Ash International.
Yes.
A well-known celebrity, a well-known real estate broker out in London and in Dubai. So we're going to be talking about basically what you've been doing, how you've exploded. Well, let's talk about your famous mega mansion hunters.
Yeah, we can start there.
And then we'll take it forward from there. So tell me a bit about what transition have you made from London to Dubai, and why Dubai?
Yeah, it was an interesting kind of way that it come about because, quite frankly, I had no intentions of actually coming to Dubai for real estate. I was coming here on holiday regularly. For me, it was that was what its purpose was. It had nice hotels, nice restaurants and beach clubs, so it ticked every box, and it had winter sun. But of course, as you get off the plane, real estate's rammed down your throat from every direction. And I realised, okay, I'm missing a trick here. I then started researching the market. I started researching what was happening here. And I quickly realised that actually, yes, I am missing a trick. I do need to get the brand extended and expanded out into Dubai. So fast forward effectively a year on, we did all the necessary transition, launched in Dubai. We've only been live about just under 6 months. We've had an amazing start. Obviously the first couple of months is just finding out how it all works.
Yeah, you've done phenomenal.
So I appreciate it. Thank you. And you know, we really take it very, very seriously because we want to make a big impact here. I think one of the big challenges for me was, you know, in the UK, it was like you can get too comfortable because you achieve quite a lot in a small amount of time. And then it's like, okay, you had the television show, everyone knows who you are. And, you know, you're sitting there and you think, okay, well, I've done it. Well done. And then suddenly it's like, well, do I need to go to Dubai?
Yeah.
It's a bit scary now because if I go there, I'm not that guy anymore. I'm going into an area where there's a lot of established companies, a lot of big names, a lot of big properties. And actually that was what excited me more because for me, I don't really, you know, I don't really care about the status of anything. I just think to myself, I know what I'm capable of. So I go to bed at night thinking to myself, what an achievement it'd be if I could take Dubai. And
you know, so it's funny you say that because every time I've spoken to you, every vision you've always had, what place in the world can you think big and make it happen other than the UAE and Dubai?
Absolutely.
And I think you've done pretty well doing that. And I think there is no real limits from your vision, from our brief conversation to your social media where it's exploded. And I think your vision is just ever growing.
Yeah, thank you. And I think that like a big part of that is just belief. I'm like, I was somebody that didn't always have a lot of belief in myself. So when I got into real estate and started just learning about luxury property, it was like, okay, well, I've been an estate agent for years. How can I conquer the luxury market? So I started just applying what I was doing in high street agency to that. And it was getting part of the job done. I was getting a few listings. I was doing bits and bobs, the odd deal here, the odd deal there. But I wasn't smashing the industry. So then I started thinking, how can I do this? Because I'm getting quite obsessed with this. And then it was about the processes. So it was like, right, suddenly you start breaking down the processes. So the one thing is that people will get very, very confused about is that they think, okay, I might be outspoken on social media, we might have had a television show, we might have done this, might have done that. What they don't realize is that the backbone, the foundation of what I teach, what we're doing as a business, it's built on process, it's built on strategy, it's built on execution, it's built and reverse engineered on numbers. So you can talk the talk, everyone can jump on a podcast, everyone can do a video. We've had them through our business, people who are just loud and then they grab a little bit of short-term attention, but actually apply that to business. And most 99% of them fall because, you know, one thing that people get very, very confused about with social media, for one, is they think they're doing well because they're getting views and likes. Well, views and likes are one element of the currency, but the main currency is fucking money.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and it's like, so if you're you know, you might say, I had 1 million views on a video. Okay, well, how many listings you get out of it? Or how many sales have you made? How many clients have you done? And also, you might be good on social media, but you might be shit at the job.
Yes.
So like, you might get an amazing client who like messages you and says, yeah, I want to sell my villa for 30 million, or I want to invest, you know, 20 million US dollars into the Dubai market. You service them terribly. You give them bad advice. They cross-examine your advice with some other advice. They realize it's really bad. And then you've gone.
Yeah.
So that ROI that should have come from your social media didn't come because you're shit at the job.
Yeah, exactly.
So for me, it was like, you've got to do everything.
Yeah.
You've got to be a marketing machine.
Yes.
And that's what we're teaching our agents. You've got to be marketing machines. You've got to build a personal brand. You've got to be putting out content every single day.
Yes.
You do not know. And the great thing is, what I like about social media attached with real estate is that we are not high volume when it comes to sales. We're not like selling, you know, I don't know, something on Amazon. Like, you know, we're not trying to sell hundreds of thousands of things. We're trying to sell 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 or 10. And that means that it doesn't matter if you get 1 million views. It doesn't matter if you get 1,000 views. We had a guy in our business who did £1 million sale. He just set up his social media. Someone saw the video. The video only had like 250 views. But the person who saw it resonated with the information on the video, got in touch with him, bought through him, and now he's just earned £25,000 net, whatever that is in dirhams, probably just over 100,000 dirhams, from a video that had 250 views. That's because he's good at the job. So people get confused about that integration of social media, and for me, it's about, can you convert that into revenue? You were just saying to me in the car, you did one of your podcast clips that went out, and then it had someone who's making offers through you at 80 million dirham.
Exactly.
Well, you know that you've got the ability to deal with that and tie up a deal at 80 million dirham. That person falls into the wrong hands. No money ever gets earned, and that's the problem. So that's the thing.
I think the way, you don't go around advertising your stock on platforms, etc., across the UK or UAE. Everything that you've always done is through social media, and it's I would call you the ambassador to the social media, the marketing plan, because you really have nailed it, which is fantastic. Now let's talk about how the transition between your social media and going into the Channel 4.
Yes.
How did that all come about, and how did it impact your business? How did it impact your brand? I know there has been a lot of negative press about it. But it's great. Haters, we love our haters. Without the haters, we cannot move forward. And I think haters are the ones which gives us the larger exposure. And I love that.
Well, funny enough, any post that usually goes viral, it's because there's people either slating someone in the comments or slating each other in the comments, and that's how it goes viral. So there's a reason that there has to be a triggering part of a post or an interaction of a post. It could be the call to action, it could be a controversial fact, figure, or bit of data that you release, and it could be that you're directly addressing someone in that post. What I'm saying is that it's controversy that actually sells. You know, they don't ever write newspapers with good news in it. You know, that's the reality. So when you apply that theory to social media, well, it's the same people who are fucking buying the newspapers that are on social media. So, you know, what you're looking for is a double impact with social media posts. And this is kind of the art form that I've always worked with. There's a balance. So I've seen people who have tried to be too controversial and they don't lace it with enough credibility. So they just become like loud, brash, and actually quite annoying. Then you've got someone who is too diplomatic, too conformist. They're almost boring. So they'll go, oh yeah, the market is this, it's gone up by 1%. But no one gives a fucking shit, mate. Like, do you know what I'm saying? It's true. It's boring. I don't care what anyone says. It's boring. I don't care what you've got to say. It's shit. And like, actually, the balance is being a little bit controversial, a little bit direct.
Yes.
And when they land, dig, they realise actually you're an expert at what you're talking about. Yeah. And it's a bit like if you think about Piers Morgan. He gets the most views on his because he's very, very credible at what he talks about. He understands his subjects. He understands the people and the counter arguments that are going to go against that person. And he's extremely intelligent. So suddenly you've got this guy who will say something, you think, you fuck it, like, you know, and then he'll lace it with an argument where you think, my God, he's smart. Yeah. And it's just, and that's the balance. You've seen it with Andrew Tate. You've seen it with Jordan Peterson. You've seen it with Piers Morgan. There is a pattern that emerges. And I like to think that the character traits, not deliberately, it's just where my angle is for social media. I will call out what I believe are holes and flaws within the industry because they're the areas that we're exploiting as a business. But then when you land on me, I'm not just loudmouth. I will have the results to back it up. We have the business to back it up. We have the sales to back it up. We have the people to back it up. It's built on a solid foundation.
Say if I'm talking to an investor, say Ty, I'm talking to you. I'm going to talk to you because I know my facts and figures. I have sold a property. I have rented a property. I have invested in a property, and I know the figures and I know the processes. Now, we've got so many different brokers in Dubai who has absolute zero idea, never invested in anything in their life. They're probably still living in a car, and how on earth do you think they're credible enough to give a millionaire advice on putting money where they're going to get a decent return? I fail to understand that. And this is where my frustration is. And I always say, I strongly believe 90% of brokers in Dubai are pretty shit.
Well, here's my thing.
And the first 5% and the last 5% are those who will make the money only because they give the sound advice. And this really comes back to what you said at the beginning.
Yeah, I think like when people were throwing numbers at me, you know, they were talking about 25,000 brokers being in Dubai alone, and they were saying there's too many brokers, it's overcrowded. And I said, well, not really, because you know, the reality is I know that 25,000 people aren't making money. And then you start analysing what's the percentage of conversion, what's the failure rate. See, this was what I researched. When I was out here doing my research, I wasn't researching just about the markets, just about where is good to move, just about what sold prices are where. I was researching the failure rates, because when you start getting into the failure rates, then you start realizing that they're actually up at 95%. Between 87 and 95% was the researched failure rates of real estate brokers that land in Dubai and try to do real estate and then leave because they've made no money. It's that high. So then you can analyze what are the reasons for those failure rates. Well, you could put it down to a number of things. The first thing is that they are not trained and taught in the correct way. I believe that there is a massive culture of getting a big boatload of people who've been sold a dream and saying, right, you're all doing lettings, run around the marina, filling house shares and all that sort of stuff, and they're not going to make any fucking money. And then what happens is they get a pile of about 10 grand that they've saved up, or maybe their parents have lent them or something like that, and then it is gone. It's gone quick. It doesn't take long to spend £10,000 here. And the reality is if your mates who are all in the office, and this is the other mistake that happens, is they all make friends with the other fucking people in the same boat. So they're all in the office, they're all making no fucking money, and they're all spending the money that they've not earned going to surf club on a fucking Saturday night. And it's like, you are literally, it's a ticking time bomb. You're better off saving your money and just flying back home now and doing it with doing something else with it. So
everyone is really happy to make mediocre money, because the commission structure in the UK is very different to the commission structure here. So what you sell here, you get a huge amount in comparison to the UK. And when someone gets landed that 20,000, 30,000 dirhams when they sell something mediocre at 1.3 million dirhams.
I think, like, so going on to kind of, because we went off on a tangent, but like the question you sort of were asking was about this transition into the mega mansion hunters from social media. Well, funny enough, why it got so much traction was exactly what you're talking about. So I was shouting out some pretty big numbers, some pretty big sales. We were a very direct and flashy company in comparison to your kind of straight-laced, boring underachievers that are on the high street. And so that was what got us into all the newspapers. But it got us into the newspapers because they hated me.
Yes.
So I was getting the Daily Mail, News of the World, the Sun was slating me on every other week.
They hated you because you were the only broker or estate agent in London going on business meetings or viewings in a Rolls Royce.
There's a Lamborghini, yeah.
And a Lambo.
Oh yeah, Rolls Royce and a Lambo, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that was the thing, and it was like, and for me, they absolutely hated it. And the guy, funny enough, the production manager who actually gave us the green light for the show, he was a massive fan, and he was at Channel 4. And then what happened was, first 2 episodes did really well. And I went on this morning with Phil and Holly. We did a really good interview. We were in all the newspapers. Everything was like exactly where it should have been. And we were thinking, it's got to be a new series that will come. And we were very disruptive, really, really like rattling some cages. And then someone come in because they move around in the industry a lot. So the contract ended. Someone came in to take over our show, moved our 3rd episode to midnight because they didn't like me. And that was it. That was the end of it in Channel 4. But you know what? We got our publicity we needed out of it. It didn't really make or break us. The reality was that I said to everybody, if you think this show is going to be your golden ticket, I said it's absolutely not. I said, and funny enough, there was like a few other shows that got released in the UK, and there was one called like Crazy Rich Asians recently. And do you know what? I don't even care if they see this, right? I know everyone that's in that show, and I know they haven't built fucking 100 grand between them. I know that. I fucking know that. And they're walking around 25 million pound houses, and it is the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen. I'm like, I know he hasn't sold anything. I know she hasn't sold anything, but they've got the show together to pretend. So anyone who's ever watched these shows, just trust me on this. The one thing that we had over everyone else was our agents were making a fuck ton of money, and like that was the thing they didn't like. There was people earning 30, 40, 50,000 pound a month in our show, and that's because I taught them. Whereas actually just pretending you're on a phone call in a 25 million pound house, pretending you've sold it. Listen, mate, I ain't fucking buying it. You haven't even got a real fucking Rolex on. You haven't even got a half decent car. Like, it's all bollocks. And the funny thing is that we would call that out. So I remember there was another one. It was like million pound homes or something like that. It was the Sotheby's one. I'm not going to start calling out Sotheby's, but what I can tell you is you can go on the show, and they were selling some huge farmhouse that must have been 15 million or 12 million, 30 million. I can't remember what it was now. The guy who was selling it pulls up, right, in this beaten up Audi A4. His shirt's not even white, it's like yellow. And I'm like, that's the guy selling a 12 million pound house. That guy there. I pull up to a viewing, that guy meets me. Fucking no chance. Absolutely no chance. They're not earning any money. They're not earning dough. So like, the funny thing is that like, I just call a spade a spade. I just think to myself, I put my money where my mouth is all the time. 100%. I've just done 100 grand on a fucking e-learning platform. I'll throw it around and make sure that growth, success, that's all I do. But like, these people, they are just absolute chancers. And I watch it and I just think,
it's cringe.
You know you're lying. You know you're lying. Like, you can put it on a TV show, you can borrow your dad's car to go and do the viewings, whatever it is you're doing, but you ain't making no money. No. And I know that. I go on your profile, there's nothing sold. Where's your sales? And it's like, the funny thing is that for us, we called out the whole entire high street industry. We called them out. The first clip of Mega Mansion Hunters is me standing outside of high street agents, pointing at them, saying, look, they're sat there doing nothing. They're sat in their office, on their phone,
9 to 5.
Doing nothing, waiting for the phone to ring. That's the person who's selling your £2 million house. Our agents, they're targeted on how many calls they got to make. They're targeted on how many listings they've got to do. They've got a structure to price it correctly. They've got an open house strategy. They also are on commission only, which means if they sit there messing around, they're going to earn nothing. They need to sell your house. And that culture, and it was borderline aggressive. There was a clip of me addressing all the people in the business. Now listen, I was a few glasses of champagne deep when I was doing it, and I got called a narcissist, and I got called all this by the newspapers. But that's what I believe. I just think to myself, if you don't want to do it,
don't do it.
Go! Don't let the door hit you on the fucking way out. You think I'm trying to keep you here? Like, you either want to earn 250 grand plus a year, or you don't.
Yeah.
And if you don't get offended. Yeah. We had one girl like who joined us in Dubai, and I speak like this in our training session. I'm like, if you don't want to commit to this, please don't do it. Yeah. Don't put yourself through it, because emotionally it's too hard for yourself. Yeah. Go and give yourself a break.
Yes.
And we got an email from her. Oh, I find that, you know, Tyron's training's a bit too much, a bit too intense. It gave me anxiety. I said, I'll tell you what it gave you anxiety about was I was analysing and highlighting your own insecurities. The fact that I'm talking about working hard, the fact that I'm talking about you've got to make more calls than the next person, you've got to get through to the next person quicker than the other broker, you've got to get deals done, you've got to network, you've got to do all the things that I'm training you how to do. If that offends you in some way,
you're not the right person.
You're just lazy.
Yes.
You're just lazy. And you're trying to blame me because I'm highlighting your own insecurities, and that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
You know,
I think this is why you are going to explode over the next few years. And I said this to you 3 years ago, that your business model will do really well because people are okay to wake up at 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock after a night out, Monday to Sunday, and expect to do one rental at 130k, get a commission of $6,000.
That ain't real estate, bro.
And they can go and spunk it the next night.
That's not real estate.
That's the issue.
That's
the issue that we currently have.
Well, why don't you just do a direct comparison? I can tell you what, right? Imagine, this is the thing for me, is I carry a large sense of pride. So if I was getting into real estate, I'd be measuring myself against the lowest common denominator as an absolute minimum. So I'd be saying, is the man in McDonald's earning more than me?
Yeah.
And I'm 6 months in. Yeah. Right, I've got a big fucking problem here. Massive problem. If I've just gone to Starbucks and the woman who's just served me a vanilla latte is outdoing me financially in the last 3 months, I've got big fucking problems.
100%.
Well, unfortunately, that's the case. So it's like, you know, what are you going to do? And the fact is, this is what I try to explain to people. You've got two options. The first is I can be the messenger and I can tell you that the person at Starbucks is earning more money than you and actually probably gave a better sales experience selling me a fucking sandwich. Or you can get better at the job very quickly and start earning some serious money. What is it? Because if it isn't me that's going to tell you, it's going to be your fucking bank balance in about 3 months.
100%.
That's the reality. And it's like, I just stick to the facts. I don't deviate from the straight line that we all have to go on. That's the thing. So it's like, okay, let's talk about real estate. You can break that down into components. It's very, very easy. The first is prospecting. How active is your prospecting? I spoke to a guy when I was getting into luxury real estate. I was tracking him down, trying to learn how to do this industry when I didn't know. This guy was turning over millions. He's an American guy, right? Tracked him down. He was from Dallas, right? Guy, you know, when they got their faces on billboards, big fucking guy, beard, talks really deep, he's direct. I thought, this guy's fucking just testosterone, do you know what I'm saying? And he was the man. And I looked at him, I thought, God, I need to be this guy, right? I can't remember what his name is now. And anyway, I spoke to him and I said, right at the end of the call, I said, do me a favor, just answer me one question. If you could give me one piece of advice out of all the other things you've just said, the one bit of advice you would give me, what would it be to get to where you need to be? He goes, make sure prospecting is the first thing in your diary every single day. That's what he said. He said, make sure it's more important than that multi-million-pound house that you've got to go to.
Yeah.
He said, because when you do prospecting every day religiously and it doesn't come out your diary, he goes, just by law of probability, you'll get there.
100%.
He'll get there. And it was...
the formula is simple. The formula in any real estate business, in anywhere you set up, is very simple. Prospecting, listing, and then viewing, and the closure. Without the prospecting, you've got nothing.
But the funny thing is...
I like how you guys do it in UK. You guys are not afraid to knock on that door, and even when you are told to fuck off, you turn up. You turn up again.
We've got the perfect rebuttal handling for fuck off. I'll overcome fuck off. One thing people are right. Let's analyze prospecting. Most people don't make money because they don't prospect enough. So then you analyze why don't they like prospecting? They don't like being rejected. Yeah. That's the reality.
100%.
Everyone doesn't want to be told fuck off. Everyone doesn't want to be told they don't want to listen to you. You make that one call you pluck the courage up for, and then they go fuck you, and then you put the phone. They go, oh, I'm not doing it again. Oh my god. It's like that's why they're not doing it. Yeah. But the reality is that if you do it 1,000 1,000 times, then you lose the emotion attached to each call. So someone goes, fuck off, you go, oh, fuck you, mate, right, next one. And what happens is it becomes a probability game, because that's what prospecting is, a probability game. And in that process of prospecting, you become better at converting. So that's where your skills come into it. If you keep going, got a house sell, got a house sell, got a house sell, got a house, you'll probably get none. 100%. If you become an expert at handling objection, they go, fuck you, go, excuse me, sir, I understand you're telling me to fuck off. In fact, a lot of people tell me to fuck off. However, if I could show you a way to get you the best possible price for your home in the market, and I could show you a strategy that guarantees to get you that, would you be open to a conversation and not tell me to fuck off? Now, I tell you what, you have that conversation 1,000 times, I guarantee you convert 50% of the calls. 100%. And that's just off the top of my head. What I'm saying is, people approach it completely wrong. Everything is a skill that has to be mastered. You don't pick up a set of golf clubs and you're a scratch golfer. You'll go around in 130.
Yeah. We have in Dubai is, as soon as everyone does this cold calling, which we're not allowed to do, they get let's put that on the camera there.
Call a spade, yeah.
But they get the listing, and then the owner says, my property is now 2.4 million. When we know the transactional value is at 2 million. Brokers will be like, okay, great, can I get it listed? But no one wants to have that conversation with the client and say, okay, look, how much is your rent? Okay, my rent is 140K, for an example, right? So what's your service charge? Right, so all right, so your service charge is 20,000. So now your net income is at 120. So you want me to sell it at 2.5 million, and your ROI doesn't really match up to what the current ROIs are for most investors, which is between 6 and 7%. Why am I going to sell this for you at 2.4?
It's not going to stack up.
It's not. It doesn't stack up. This is the issue that we have here, that brokers are too afraid to confront. But that boils down to skill set. So it's like you could have that conversation, I could have that conversation, you can have that conversation. But if you are, and this is where I believe the brokerages, you know, I said about, I came here, I looked at what the holes were in the market. I can tell you now, the training is appalling.
Awful.
It's training.
Awful.
And when I say to myself, what do I think is an acceptable level of training? Because a question that I get asked when people join the company, what's your training process? And I said, it doesn't fucking stop. You'll hear my voice 2-3 times a week. You'll be you'll be hearing it in your fucking sleep, mate. So until it resonates for your thick skull, how to prospect correctly, how to overcome objections, how to list property, how to price correctly, how to do your research on the market value, price per square foot, all that sort of stuff, and then have a negotiation skill to actually be able to put offers forward instead of going, excuse me, mate, I've got an offer for this. You actually have a proper process, a report to produce. You actually explain to an owner where the property is exactly sitting in the market, what the negative feedback were, why people offered lower when you thought they were going to offer higher, and why they need to accept that offer that's higher, etc., etc., etc. That comes with training, practice, process. That is not just fucking turn up because you went on a recruitment day in Manchester and now you're in fucking Dubai. It's nuts. It's fucking bonkers. It's the equivalent of someone passing a law degree and then going, oh, by the way, this guy's just killed 20 people. Do you want to go represent him in the Old Bailey? It's like, no, you're not ready. You've got to shadow someone for a while. You've got to do the training. Right, I can tell you now that there is an ego comparison with all the larger brokers, and it's about how many brokers they have working for them. That I can tell you resonates with all the big companies.
It's a boiler room.
Yeah, but it's ridiculous because all you've got to analyse is the percentage of this conveyor belt of brokers going in. What's your conversion to them actually performing, because that shows whether you're doing the brokers a good service or you're doing them a disservice. We had one guy who joined us, was part of a massive, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, and he is very, very talented. So I met him and I spoke with him for 3.5 hours, and it was constant. He's run small businesses, he's motivated, he speaks really well. He was pissed off because he got sold the dream of coming over here to do real estate. He was super excited. Smash, you're out in Dubai Marina doing 50 viewings a day with people relocating people for fuck all money a month. He was barely breaking even on his fuel with the commission that he was making from lettings. And he goes, this ain't real estate. This isn't what I signed up for. And then I spoke with him, and now he's putting off market deals together. He's listed a 40 million dirham property exclusively. He's all over it. And he's only been with us 3 weeks. What I'm saying is, there is a disservice because there is actually a process of analysing what people's strengths are. I mean, I could easily break it down further, but I think that the main thing is you've got to recognise what people's strengths are. You've got to recognise, first of all, where they can actually do the job. And the funny thing is that if they haven't got a serious desire to succeed, then you're already counting them out of the race. That's the first thing, because they take on anyone. So like when you're taking on someone who goes, oh, I want to do real estate, and you go, yeah, come on, in you go. There's your desk. It's ridiculous. It can't happen. That's the thing. And for me, that was what I really, really found staggering. The failure rates, the lack of training, because everyone goes through this training when they join a company, but after that training, you're on your own. I will spend an hour dissecting live with everybody how they find their pound per square foot information and how that's delivered to an owner in an offer situation or in a market appraisal situation where you're getting the listing, because it's your delivery, your vocabulary. The vocabulary is another one. Like, I hear people talk and they just talk with no conviction, and it's because they don't know what they're talking about. You know, if you start asking me to talk about biology or chemistry, you'll see me stutter and stumble because I don't know what I'm talking about. Talk to me about real estate and it's complete conviction. And you know, that comes down to knowledge of a subject. So everyone who ever gets into real estate, you can't be coming into it going, oh, I hope I sell a few houses. You're not selling fucking second-hand cars. Like, you're dealing with people's largest assets. The average client in Dubai is going to be a millionaire.
Absolutely.
They are. Absolutely. On some level. It might be an entry-level millionaire, but it'll be probably roughly a millionaire.
So what, from your point of view, what attracts your international investors from your UK business or from, you know, I know you've got a couple of businesses across the globe. What attracts them into Dubai?
I think Dubai is, for me, a phenomenal opportunity for people who've not experienced it. So when I experienced it myself, there was a few things that stuck out. Obviously, the obvious things. You know, you're not going to get robbed for your watch. You can, you know, it's safe. Women can go for a walk or a jog at night and they're not going to disappear. It's like, there's things that are like, I'm not saying all the UK is like that. We have a large UK operation, but I'm saying there are obvious rules, laws of order within the UAE which keep those things where they are. So that's a big appeal to people. People want to bring their kids up here, and I realise that there are communities being built. There are cultures that have now grown. You can go into parts of the Palm where it would be literally like walking into Moscow. Like, everyone is Russian within the restaurants and the bar. You wouldn't know you're in Dubai. And like, there are parts of another place where it's just Indian people or just Pakistani people. There are cultures building. Going to Jumeirah Golf Estates and you could be in fucking Solihull. It's nuts. Like, there's just you know, I don't think there's anyone Emirati in there. I think they're all English. So it's like, you know, and it's great. Like, that for me is what Dubai is about. It's extremely multicultural. I love meeting someone who's from Italy or Spain or Egypt or Morocco, whatever it might be. And that is a massive appeal to people. I think that is a huge appeal.
So currently the big topic at the moment, is RAC.
Yes.
Okay. Now, this is going to be an interesting one for us because RAC is exploding. Over the next 5 to 10 years, there's a lot happening. I spoke to a friend of mine just this morning and he goes, Johnny, listen, I moved here 7 months ago, and out of the 7 months, I made more money than I ever done in RAC than Dubai. And I asked him a couple of questions as to why, and he explained it. But what's your version of what's happening with RAC at the moment, and where do you think the vision's going? Because we've got the big ticket winner there of the casinos, which is, what is it, 2027?
First 2027.
So what's your vision on that?
I'm a massive fan of RAC. And in fact, the last few properties that we've sold in the business have been investment opportunities and off plan in RAK. The reason being, and the reason why I think anyone who's looking to put money into the UAE would be absolutely out of their mind not to invest in RAK is because of what you've just said. The casino is going up. It's a win casino. It's going to be bigger than Las Vegas, the whole setup. You're talking about, you know, companies and brands like Nikki Beach going in there. I'm sure there's going to be more that are going to be unveiled. There is going to be a completely new solar system of just living there. It's going to be a 24 hours a day. You got to think Las Vegas is not weather dependent.
Yes.
Remember that.
Yes.
So like if they're building another Las Vegas type system, you got to think that's not weather dependent. You know, the reality is if there's going to be a casino, there's going to be gamblers. If there's going to be gamblers, they go there 24 hours a day. The predictions on some of the hotels and residences are that their occupancy rate is going to be around 90%. So if you're talking about that from an investment perspective, it's always going to be rented out. In fact, some of them are doing like a pool guaranteed rent, where if you're not living in your apartment, chuck it in the pool, they'll guarantee to give you like 85% or something. They're that sure it's going to rent out, and they'll guarantee that rent whether it's rented out or not. So for me, it's super exciting because, quite frankly, one thing I've learned with anyone who's looking to invest in Dubai is you have to be ahead of the curve.
Absolutely.
There's no point going onto the palm and thinking you're going to get ahead of the curve. You're not. You buy in the palm because you like the palm.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
I agree. Because one of my clients, we bought something in RAK. I was very new to it. So when we went down there, we spent 2 days there, and we ended up buying something, and we bought it for 1.3 million. At OP, we are now trying to sell it at 25% above OP in less than 3 months.
Crazy.
And do you know what that shows? And by the way, we've received offers slightly shy of that.
But it's there.
But I said to him, listen, let's just wait. It's 3 months. Your next payment is not due till March. So just wait. Just sit on it. I guarantee you will get more, right? And get close to that 25% at the exit. Whereas in Dubai, that 25% mark gets you when you're about, 70% on construction?
Absolutely. Yeah. And also, the way I look at any investment, right, you've got to look at it and say how, because it's all about risk analysis. So when you're investing, you've got to think to yourself, am I going to give it to a dodgy crypto guy, or am I going to make an investment in property? And then you analyze the outs. What are I call them outs. So if anyone who plays poker, they know that, you know, you look at a hand and you go, what are my outs? How am I going to win this hand, right? Well, that's the same with property. You look at it and you say, what are my outs? Well, your outs are, first of all, how do you get out without losing money or even making money, which is really the objective. So you've got to think there's guaranteed capital increase there. I mean, of a astronomical level. You just have to look at evidence like Emaar Beachfront. When that went up in 2016, 2017, it was sold on an idea. Those properties were 100 to 150% cheaper than what they're selling for now.
Absolutely.
So people on the Emaar Beachfront from 2017 that purchased have made an absolute killing.
Absolutely.
And then you times that by 100, you've got the casino.
Yes.
That's the reality.
That is the reality. It's true.
And anyone who hasn't invested there now, seriously, if you listen to this, I suggest you give me a call very quickly, because these are selling like by the hour and they must be bought.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
I don't think they'll be giving that license to any other emirate, by the way. From what I've been hearing, it is going to strictly be RAK. So
I think they're going to be moving it to Dubai.
Because there's one going up near the Burj.
Yeah, Marine Time. Yeah. Where
you got Bellagio, Aria, MGM. Yeah. That's going to be electric.
It's going to be huge.
But make no mistake about it, right? The reason RAK is still, even if they both were launched at the same time, I'd still be swaying towards RAK, is RAK is untapped territory.
Correct.
So that island is going to be just up from the Burj Al Arab. Yeah. It's going to be just up from Marsa Al Arab. The prices are going to follow suit.
Yes.
They're going to follow suit. So that is not going to be a cheap entry point.
No, it's not.
It's not.
Certainly not.
No.
Certainly not.
But these, you're talking about, you know, the equivalent of £300,000-400,000 total value on some of these 1 beds, 2 beds, you know, and of course a bit more. And then you got like nice 2 beds at £800,000-900,000.
And to get a return at 25% or 20, let's even say 15 at the lowest. Where are you going to get 15% anywhere in the world in the space of 3 months.
I personally think they will over double in value.
I think so too.
I think by the time that's handed over and all the hype of the casinos coming, and it's, you know, because we've got some of them that are handing over and they're Q4 2026. Well, you've got to look at that and think, God, what is the value going to be then? When you're talking about an idea, God, I think anyone who buys there is going to absolutely cream it.
So, cheeky question, Ty. Are you going to open up something in rack?
Yes. I mean, we're already operating on the stuff there, but the reality is we want feet on the ground there. So I reckon within the next year we'll be there. Yeah. But we're also looking at a bigger expansion. I mean, you can't have conversations about expansion in the UAE without mentioning Saudi. And you know, I think that you've got to. I know the constraints and the processes are going to be a little bit different. So I've half researched it. I've half made some contacts, but you know, it's not top of my priority list. But I think it's something that needs addressing at some point. For you, what was the big appeal coming to Dubai and leaving the UK?
I was unable to spend the money on luxury and feel that I couldn't walk outside. You know, I couldn't wear a Rolex watch outside. Yeah. I just couldn't. I just felt, you know, we went into London last year and we both walked out of that restaurant and I said, have you got your Rollie on? We both said yes. And we both are now trying to take it off. And we're putting it in our jacket pockets.
Yeah.
And for me, I've been going to Dubai for the last 10 years. I haven't seen the transactional value of it because I've never been interested in the real estate market back then. It was a holiday destination and I felt safe. And for me, I couldn't have my luxury lifestyle and have the materials that I worked so hard for in the UK and live that life. I just couldn't do it. Just couldn't do it. And yes, some people say you should stay humble. Fuck being humble. I don't understand why people tell you to stay humble. Honestly, I just think that's an utter bullshit. And I think it's a statement that people actually don't understand what they're saying to me. I don't want to be humble because why? If I walk into a meeting room or an event and I say to myself, I don't care if you like me. I really don't give a shit. I walk in thinking, do I like you? You know, are you on the same level as myself and my mindset? That's it. That's how I work it. And that's why I moved to Dubai. And then money was just a honeypot for me where it was just a sweet spot where it was just coming in. The reason why money came in for me is because I was successful in what I was doing.
Good at what you do.
I am. I don't sell. See, my methodology is very simple. I don't have 50 to 90 listings. I don't. I work on 15 and I work on those 15 to 20 clients. My brain cannot process anything more than that. That's a fact. And that 15 clients of mine come back to me each year, whether it's rental, whether they want to sell it, whether they want some sort of advice on refinancing it, and that's what I do. And I use those clients time after time to sell properties, like for example into the rack. So that's why I
think it's a great point, and also I think it brings us on to, for me, what I realised the difference was with the Dubai market and the UK market is the UK market's 100% listings focused. You have the listings and then the buyers will come to you, tie the deal up, and there's not enough commission on the table to start doing buyer fees, splitting them with other agents. You've got to list it, you've got to sell it. With Dubai, you've got the buyer commission, you've got the seller commission, and you've got the off-market commission. The one thing I've realised, and this is why a lot of brokers struggle, they get boxed off into a specific area. Mr. Dubai Hills, Mrs. Downtown, whatever you want to call it on social media, right? That's great, but the problem is the money's not in the area, the money's with the client. So if you go where the money is and then you can service and have the skills to service that client in a number of ways, it shouldn't matter what location that takes you in. So for example, we've had a client with one of our agents recently, multi-millionaire guy. He's invested in 3 off-plan properties. He's given the guy 3 properties to sell in different areas, but he wants to deal with that guy. Nothing's more than 20 minutes, half an hour in the car. He can deal with all those listings. Listen, Dubai's been up 20 years. Don't pretend you're an expert in the area. There's like one generation, if you're lucky, of people living in that area. It's not like you know, growing up in Mayfair for the last 60 years and all your, you know, generations of your family have been there and all that sort of. There's no history.
Do you know what? It's so easy to learn any area. You just need to know the transactional value in the area, dirhams per square foot, and you tally that up with your investor's budget and see if it works. It's not rocket science. We've got DXB Interact. We've got we've got all the tools to give a client anywhere. I can go and sell something in Dira.
Yeah.
Don't care.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It's that you've got to be great at servicing that client. And the funny thing is if you get 5 to 10 clients that are really, really good, that repeat invest, that have properties to sell and everything in between, you'll become a millionaire dealing with 10 clients. That's the funny thing. It's like, but if you say to someone, you're a specialist in Jumeirah Golf Estates and you're there with 20 other brokers in the same office, all trying to do
their
it.
Potential doing
You've done it. Your limits are there.
That's it.
Boxed them off, caged off, stupid Instagram name that means absolutely nothing. It's like, oh, well done, you sold one house there. But the problem is no one knows who you are.
Yeah.
And this is the best bit about it, which I know we're going to absolutely smash everyone out of the park, is that we are massive at building the image and the brand and the legacy of the individual agents. For me, I want agents to be superstars here. And funny enough, what absolutely blows my mind is Dubai has some agents that earn a lot of money out here as well. Let's make no bones about it, okay? But I can't see many superstars that have been created. Everyone's been boxed off and corporatized. And as long as everyone keeps corporatizing their businesses, which they're in too deep, you've left a massive hole for us to exploit.
And this is why I think, Ty, you're going to explode. And calling this a wrap, I think you're going to do pretty well over the next few years. I honestly think, watch out for Tyron Ash International Dubai. I think you're an outgoing person. And when it comes to the knowledge, you've got it. And we're all, as a team, work together and hopefully make some difference.
Yeah, we'll do some business together. And yeah, absolute pleasure as always, Johnny.